Hey guys, it's me again, Orcs What Ifs. Checking as usual. They complete the sports festival with Deku winning. And let's see, if I remember correctly, I said, well, they pretty much completed their, Sphere and Deku completed their things solo. Then they're during train camp, and if I remember correctly, Aizawa and Pixie Bob have ridden Deku in his dragon form. People have just seen him land, and now they're all going to bed. Now they go through training like it would probably be usual. The only difference is that Deku's been asked to train Saphira to recharge everyone if some people get too tired, because they've heard that he gets very fatigued when he uses the whole heal people. So as he's doing this throughout the day with 1A and 1B, like, hey, like Vlad King being like, Deku, you need to heal these people. He's like, oh. Comes over, charges up, and goes, now get back out there. Oh. And they're like, are you okay? He's like, I'm just so tired. Why is it so tiring? Kill me. But as he continues, hoarding such throughout the days, he and Saphira go on their nightly flies, taking a few people every time. Next time, it's like Momo, Suyu, and some of the others who wanted to go for a fly, so they do it. Deku takes it more easy on them, like Momo having created like chains and such to like help or something, like some straps and such to like help her stay buckled down. Suyu uses her tongue, and anyone else? Nope, not really. So, as they continue forward, Deku and them do this throughout the entire, I believe it was like a week or so. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to last for like a week. But it doesn't. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was 2 weeks. So, as they're doing this continuously, now comes the night of the whole incident in the forest. Deku's just sitting there waiting. He's like, oh, God, I hate this. As he gets up and such, ready to move out, he's like, so I'm by myself? They're like, yep. He's like, well, that's too bad. Might as well just continue on. As he's waiting for his turn and such, they all get paired up. Katsuki with Todoroki and such. So as they're all paired off and sent on their merry ways, the whole thing happens like, oh shoot. But something strange is afoot. Deku can smell the air. It's like claustrophobic. And I'll say Saphira's team hasn't gone yet. They're like, it smells so, why does it feel so tight and dark in here? Ugh. Then walks out some weird shadow monster. Now what they've done is they've taken a wyvern, pretty much. A wyvern. And smashed it together with a shadow quirk. Any of you seen the movie Aragon, you know what I'm trying to represent. This thing is being controlled by Dobby like the Nomu was. And as Saphira sees it, as it's like going after some of the kids, she's like, Deku, go! Deku's about to rush off. Then, out of nowhere, it's just like he gets tackled by another giant monster beast thing. What this thing is made out of, it's a drake, not a wyvern or anything that flies. It's just a straight up drake. This drake is like encased in like hardened crystals. Its skin is almost as tough as diamonds. So with the two of them having to separate, with them like going at it, it's like, Koda, I don't know where Koda is. Muscular doesn't attempt to go after Koda. Well, Aizawa goes, forget their name, was there, some of the students. Well, Koda just didn't run off, because they've been hanging out, Koda and him, as they were doing it. Like, as he was, like, training throughout the day, Koda scratched himself, charged up a little bit of energy, and, like, healing Koda right up. Koda feeling energized, like he'd just been charged up by, like, a battery. That happening, like, he slowly but surely spoke with Koda over the days, talking with him about his mother and father, the water heroes, saying how they were good people, from what he heard. I was trying to hold in the yawn. But with how everything was, and Muscular, it was just a mess. Especially since they didn't even catch Muscular. He's still out there somewhere. I think he'll be caught one day. But as they continue forward and such, Koda's hanging around with students. Safi'jiiva's all fighting the Shadow Beast, and Deku and Deku's left dealing with this Drake mixed with quirks and such. They've pretty much gotten it perfected. Like, they've been wanting to splice up with human DNA and other DNA. Like, they've perfected it, so it's more along the lines that instead of being at random or being more accurate, it's perfected, like they're actually one with the quirk. Even All for One had a difficulty splicing them together. They did receive some of his help with certain these ones. Like these two right here are some of his work. They're all in the class with like a high-end Nomu in some case. In like these cases, they're like as tough as a high-end Nomu. And if you've seen the like battle with it between Endeavor, you know what damage it can do. As they don't have super regeneration and such, he's like keeping those hidden away. Not hidden those away, but he's giving those to other Nomu. So as this as the attacks are all happening as they usually did, Safi'jiiva's up in the sky, battling this thing, breathing her fire and ice blast along with her sonic screams, or like shouts, blasting this thing away. It's shooting like its own fire blast and such. It's like a bat with only its giant teeth and such. Them coming to clash multiple times, with Safi'jiiva biting into it and clawing and also breathing fire quite a bit. Like, as it like tries to go for one bit, it like she just pulls her head back and starts breathing in a bunch of fire and ice. The fire and ice helping quite a lot. But on the ground with Deku, he's throwing his beast around. It's like the same size as him. He's throwing, as it was out in the opening, they came charging at one another and just grabbed each other. Just as it just comes clashing, this thing bashing Deku around. Deku being able, like, it has armor plating, that sort of thing, so there's places where he could attack. So as he like chomps down in one area, it starts to bleed. Deku sinking his teeth in and sending in a bit of the laser, like causing that thing to like start to melt as it like reaches down with its head and bites into his neck. He's trying to drag himself free as he's like clawing as it lifts him up with its brute strength. He's managed to like get his tail, and I'm pretty sure the tail has like spikes and such on it, so he jams it right into the underneath, getting it right in the gut and forcing it to drop him. At this point, pretty much the entire action squad, I forget their name, the League of Villains action squad, coming in and dealing with their thing. Moonfish, Gas Guy, Dobby, twice, and all of them. They're all fighting each of the things off, with Deku and Saphira having the more difficult battles being left to them. Muscular comes in, tries to fight Tiger and them, but the children help him out. Like, with their quirks and such, like with, not Uraraka, but, Mineta's and such, quirks and such, they can get him, like, slowly but surely over-encumber him. But Muscular is a very dangerous criminal. So yeah, as Deku tosses the Drake at one point, Muscular using all his muscle force to catch it, rushing forward right at Deku and smashing him right in the face, sending Deku like rolling as he's sent tumbling into several trees, with Muscular rushing forward to re-engage him. Drake right now is unconscious, but back up in the sky, Saphira is still continuing her long duel with this thing. Them both clashing over and over and over again, just biting and biting. Even at one point, this thing grabs onto her, like, tail and such and starts swinging her around, sending her flying quite a bit. She's bleeding very severely from her tail. She's staying afloat, but without her tail, it's very difficult to balance herself. So, as we cut right back to Deku fighting this guy, Bakugo and them are able to keep, more hair. Oh. Stupid hair. Ugh. There was actual hair in my mouth. So, as they all continue on, let's see, Uraraka and Tsuyu are able to fend off Toga. The Class 1B takes care of the Gas Guy. Why is there hair in my mouth? Ugh. But they continue forward and such. They continue forward and like with their whole things. As they continue forward and such, I believe it was Bakugo and the Todoroki dealing with Moonfish, and I forget who comes after the whole Dark Shadow and Dupla Arms. But I digress. Deku coming to fight Muscular in his smaller form to maintain a better size. So as he comes rushing in, sort of colliding fist, he somehow through his light training and such, somehow found a way to minutely increase, like, double his strength, which I don't know how strong Muscular, I forget his name, it's very confusing. Muscular coming to be an even match for him and Muscular right now is going serious mode, which I don't know how strong he is compared to All Might, but yeah. Thanks to his, like, ability to send the energy to, like, increase his strength and such by, like, 20, times 2 his normal power, which is, if I remember correctly, 40% of All Might in his prime, which is still quite a lot. He's going toe-to-toe with this dude, and actually starts to overpower him slowly but surely through his more sophisticated fighting style. He uses his tail and actually snaps his leg, like his knee is like completely broken from the force exuded by Deku. Comes rushing in again, throwing punch after punch after punch after punch, eventually uppercutting him, sending him up in the air, flying after him, and just pretty much doing, if anyone's seen Star Platinum going, I can't do it, it's going, ura, 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 as it goes forward, and going, hurrah, finishing him off. With Deku sort of standing there victoriously. Then the other thing comes rushing at him. He immediately rushes forward, hits it right on the head, cracking it and sending it flying backwards into the mountain. It's not dead, but it is knocked out. As the rest of them have driven off the other not heroes, but the other villains like Magna, Spinner, Dobby, and the rest. Mr. Compress unable to achieve her goal, and Momo still attaching the tracker to the Nomu. Now the only thing left is Safi'jiiva fighting her battle in the skies. Now with this happening, this weird bat creature manages to get the upper hand finally, and then grabs onto Safi'jiiva's neck, as it does in the movie Aragon. Because like I said, I'll be taking scenes from other movies and putting them in here. This isn't plagiarism, it's just that I also like the ideas of these awesome cinematic battles, and I'll put them in my own words. So as she's fighting him, actually at one point manages to sink her teeth right into the neck. How she did though left her wide open for an attack, so it grabs onto her neck. She hitting it as much as she can. As they look up, they see Safi'jiiva in this thing's massive jaws, as it just spits her out essentially, her falling to the ground. Very wounded. All of them are like, oh no. As Deku sees this, he looks up, being filled with nothing but a primal fury that could be only rivaled by that of God. As he starts to shake and slowly but surely retransform into his ultimate size, he quickly does a heal up, sending it wide out into the open, healing every friendly. As that happens, he was pure rage. Some of the trees have just withered away in an instant, and he sends it out, the life force outwards to everyone else that's on his side, and it heals them right up, supercharging them even. As he immediately jumps forward, leaping after this thing, following it. The Drake soon being teleported away. As he chases down this abomination, he's running after it, constantly snapping and firing his laser blast. With its continued evasion of him, he finally at one point sees a clear shot, fires the blue fireball, and then it gets teleported away. But it's by that main base. So as Deku's trying to get to it, he manages to just barely get through it. It's on a heavily secured island. Sort of like Eye Island, but this thing's going a bit overboard with the protection. As Deku's flying high above the sky, seeing what it looks like, he's letting out a roar that could be... And this thing's not kind of far off the Japanese coast, but his roar is still heard over 100 miles away. Sort of like Godzilla. As this giant roar is heard, several sea dragons, several sky dragons, even some dragons, like Deku's depicted as an alpha drake or an alpha dragon, with several of them hearing his call. The only ones really who aren't showing up are the ones who have god complexes. As he just says in a way that the dragons understand, burn. As they immediately go to town, tearing apart this place. He lets off his first massive blast of energy, destroying several buildings. Dr. Heisenberger at this point is like, good. Test subjects seem to be doing just fine. As he's like, no! The Shadow One has been destroyed. We still have the Drake though. That was a good fight. Provided excellent data. Gonna need something much stronger for Deku though. As that happens, they just feel with the whole several buildings being lit aflame and just being burned. several not heroes, but everyone's wondering where Deku went. The villains have evacuated. Right now, what's happening is Deku's just leading an all-out assault. Like, several dragon sightings have been seen flying in this direction. With the heroes and such that can fly in a massive boat force and such being sent out, they're like, see what's happening. An hour or so, like 2 hours later, like after going at their max speeds, the jets and such arrive first. They're like, if dragons are going somewhere, there could be a real problem, especially if they go into frenzy. As the jets are like, Roger, Roger, Tanker 19er, we're approaching the point of interest. As he just trails off, he's like, what do you see, 1996? 1996? And it's like, sir, the dragons are destroying an entire island. What? As they're like, live feed. What is this? Even the heroes are seeing this. They see the giant blue beam coming from Deku. As he lands down onto the ground, finally, after a giant explosion. Well, he's in there at first. As they see this is like after the hours or so. Deku has been rampaging with his dragons. The serpent dragons destroying any ships that try to escape. Any helicopters and such are destroyed by the small wyverns. And other dragons are just bombarding this place. As he's able to get down underground into the main complex and such, after slaughtering his way through the guards with a small army of drakes, like a very small drakes and such, they come rushing in, and they were carried on by other dragons and such, as like drop forces, and they were just dropped off. As they come in, they're just like rampaging through the halls. Deku's forces just slaughtering everything that got in their way. Deku eventually reaching the bottomless, like the lowest floor he can get to. There is no escaping for Dr. Heisenberger, as all his other scientists are butchered. Deku coming to him is like, I was just doing a test in the name of science. You must surely understand. As Deku's throwing everything out of the way, as he's trying to put everything between them. He grabs Dr. Heisenberger by the neck and says this, you're coming with me. He's in his 3rd degree, by the way. As this is the hour that has passed, Deku and them, the dragons slowly but surely dispersing, with only the people remaining are heroes. And national, I guess, the guard, the Japanese Self-Defense Force, the JSDF, I believe is what it's called. Japanese Self-Defense Force, yep. JSDF, yep. As they, like, are just curious as to what happened, their guns are just trained on that place, seeing what's happened. As they see a giant figure come up by... After letting out several more giant beams, it's able to just essentially sets off a nuke. Deku sets off a nuke. As he flies off with Dr. Heisenberger essentially just not in his mouth, but in his like claws and such below. As he flies towards the mainland, several of the ships get like sent back and forth by the amount of pressures that's been exuded by Deku's wings and such. The ships and such are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What the... With Deku in them, Deku eventually making it back to the land and such, and dropping Dr. Heisenberger back at UA. He's been flying for over 3 hours. Dr. Heisenberger praying to the love of science that he doesn't get murdered or fed to this guy's children or whatever. As he like flies near UA and such, he almost gets scolded. Then before like Dr. Heisenberger is just dropped like in front of the entire UA staff. Deku flying away I'm trying to remember how they got to the training camp. It's been hours, so Saphira is relatively fine in a hospital at this point. So he's trying to find out where Saphira is and such. As he's told that she's at such and such hospital, he asks where is that? That's in this city. He's like, very well. He flies up again and then just launches himself forward, following where he remembers it being and finds the hospital. His direction skills is very good. They have to be since he flies a lot. So, yeah. As he lands at the hospital and walks in, Saphira, like in a hospital bed, like, not hospital bed. She's actually in like a bigger area for giant people. So as she's just laying there with the like puncture wounds in her neck, like it healed her up quite a bit, but they're just making sure, so running tests, see if this thing didn't have any sort of poison or whatever in its mouth or whatever. As it continues forward, Deku just sort of sleeping next to Saphira the entire night. At one point, Aizawa like heard where he was. He's like, oh. She comes over and sees where Deku's sleeping. He has not left Saphira's side at all. Him sending out the occasional burst of healing energy and such, just trying to help her along the process. It's going relatively well. Then Aizawa's like, the thing you did was idiotic. You could have gotten yourself killed, and most of all, you could have been seen as a villain or a criminal for this. I was like, just tell me what the doctor said. He's like, well, at least you left one alive. Yeah, Night-Eye convinced me that the best way to make sure I can butcher more is to ensure that at least one lives to tell us more. It's like, fine. Whoa, he hasn't given up. That was their only major base. The other smaller bases are kept hidden, so, yeah. Back to step one, he's like, no it ain't. They lost their means to recreate more of those abominations. The only ones that are going to be around are the ones, as far as he knows, are the ones that are already made. Which brings me to my second question. What about the abominations? It's like, he's like, after getting him under the wire for a little bit, he's been given the idea, he's pretty much spilled everything, proclaiming it was all in the name of science. As Deku and Aizawa are outside at this point, Deku pretty much just roaring in rage, saying, all for science! All that torment and suffering was for science. It's a lousy excuse. I agree, kid, but that's how the world is. How's everyone else after the camp incident? Well, they all seem to be doing fine. The only ones who really got injured were... she disappeared. One of the Wild Pussycats are gone, and you and Saphira were the only ones who received any form of injuries. Aside from Choco. Aside from Ochaka receiving a stab wound. Nothing else. He's like, yeah, that's good here. Besides, if they even did receive any injuries, you will have healed them right up with that blast of healing energy. Like, yeah. Also said, also, good work on channeling the energy to increase your strength. Very smart. So, he's like, so what now? He's like, she's like, well, they're probably gonna try figure out what to do with you. And that giant army of dragons you summoned, well, they've dispersed, so they've gone back to their hiding places. And you may be put on a watch list for just in case goes feral, kill at all cost. Like, that is understandable. Is that all? Really? I was expecting a bit more. And now to address the issue about the whole swim pool thing. And the whole thing with the whole thing during the mall. So, they get the whole pool thing set up, and he stops them right before they try to leer at, I believe that's the word, and such, at Katsuki, Momo, or Safi'jiiva. A lot of them just acknowledging this. And Deku pretty much wins a lot of the races. He just like leaping over using his strength. And swimming quite a bit as well. Deku and them just... Oof. Then Safi'jiiva and him try to race each other. He wins very obviously. But she sort of distracts him at one point saying, "Hey, guess what?" He's like, "What?" As she quickly pecks him on the cheek, he's like, "Wait, what?" As he rushes forward, he's like, "Oh, that's cheating!" As he rushes forward as well, jumping forward. Now, after that, the other two get jealous. Later on, demanding the same thing from Deku. He's like, "What? What?" Like, get... Katsuki getting fed up with it and just going, "Mwah." Big old fat kiss. Same thing with Momo. They're like, "You know something we haven't done in ages? What? Gone on a date. Each of us goes on our own." So as they each go on their own individual date, Katsuki and Deku going to see a movie, Momo and him going out to eat, and Safi'jiiva and him going out flying. Now comes for the time for the mall. Each of them, well, they all talk about their own individual things. Each of them, at least at one point, asking him, "What does he think of this entire arrangement? Isn't it weird?" He's like, "Well, not really. I feel like if I was anything but a dragon, this would feel weird, but no, not really. I just feel happy. And powerful in a way." And they're like, "Oh, that makes sense." So, as now it comes to the mall, Shiraki doing the whole, "I can disintegrate you with my hands." He continuing forward, "So, what's so great about staying? Meh. Deku giving the whole spiel he does, that he doesn't even understand Shigaraki at all, and that she just seems like a mad woman to him. While staying as was a mad woman, she was a mad woman with goals. Unlike you just seem to just get rid of everything you don't like. Which, if you're getting rid of something that you didn't like, but there was a reason for it besides you just didn't like it, well, that would be a whole different story." He's like, "Oh, and for your sake, keep using those abominations, and I'll take your skull off your head." He's like, "I don't think you get to make that threat. Since I'm the one with all the power here," doing the whole thing with his neck. He's like, "You really think I couldn't take your head in the small amount of time it would take you to reach my neck with your finger? Lady, please. I'm faster than you know." As he's like, "You want to test which speed is greater?" As Safi'jiiva at one point coming over, like, "Deku, what are you..." As she comes to start to realize it's Shigaraki again. She about to do something, then Deku's like, I don't think you know my friend here. We met a few days ago, it's nothing big, ain't that right, Margaret?" She's like, "Nah, it's good catching up with you, bro." As they just sort of fist bump and then walk away. She's like, "Are you sure that wasn't something?" She's like, "Yeah, it's fine. So, let's go find you what you were supposed to wear. What you were wanting to get." They just start walking together. They all gain the stuff they need, and now we're back to this. Deku and them sort of seeing the whole fight with the whole thing. Deku's being brought in this time. Like, after getting ridiculed, like, you weren't supposed to do that, kid. You could have called us to deal with it. He's like, saw my chance and I took it. Something like this wasn't going to come up again for at least another decade with how things were going. And like, kid, you had to be patient. He's like, no. I've been patient enough. My kind has been patient enough for you to squash out this stuff. These guys have been a problem since the 70s, man. You guys need to deal with it a long time ago. But no. I got fed up with it. So, So as they continue forward and such, not leaving the ideas, just going forward and such, moving on with their lives, they are ready to go. Like, when All Might got there, he's like, when All Might and Nezu took him aside, they're like, you okay, young Midoriya? He's like, I'm fine. I actually am better than fine. I haven't felt this good since ages. The blood of the innocent is finally at peace. Plus, they destroyed all their vats and cloning and such, so they shouldn't be able to do anything. The only guy to watch out for is Dr. Heisenberger. Which, speaking of devil, where is he? They're like, the government came and took him. He's like, why? Well, it's because the government said they had the right to. You don't understand. Remember what I said? Some people in the government may want these guys around to increase the military might. Oh, you're an idiot. Like, they wouldn't do that. Are you sure? Men who have been based around militaries have done it before. They've found ways to turn a nice something that could be used for good and turn it to their own twisted advantage. Guarantee the cloning backs and such were already used for a disadvantage, but this could have been used for so much more. They're like, oh really? Like what? Oh really? You take the DNA of somebody and just have the sort of thing have a certain organ cloned, so that way you don't have to spend hours on the like organ donors and such. Or this, for instance, like if they had to get their eyes replaced, because I don't know if that's an actual thing, but I'm pretty sure it is, they could literally just grow more. This stuff can be used for so much more than just making expendable meat shields or bullet sponges. We all know that, but twisted people with the idea for warlords and such will always find a way to use something for war. Be it a book, be it a stick, be it a piece of paper. Like, what's still a piece of paper? Coordinates for a missile launch. Or special information on enemies' front lines and such, which places are weakened. As he continues forward, he's like, you need to go back in our custody. Excuse me, our custody? Yes, our. I caught him. He's mine. Get him back. As he says that, plain and clear. Like, well, fine. If you help us with this, we'll entertain your request, as they say. Like, what's the request? We're gonna be doing a bust against the villains. We don't know what they might have or who they might have. It would be best for us to do everything. Also, Muscular and the Drake. Well, Muscular's taken in prison, in cuffs. The Drake, though, being teleported away. With its massive size, it is formidable. So, yeah. As Deku and them just are readying up, they're like, some of them questioning what's the deal with the Red Dragon. He shouldn't even be here. Or, it's like, this is Pendragon. He's the one who led the assault against the whole Dragon Slayer's stronghold. Like, wait, you talking about the kid who went solo? Why is he here? He shouldn't even be in UA anymore. It's like, just leave it. So, as I was saying, give the whole plan on how it's gonna run down. Deku essentially told that he is to hang in reserve, and to whichever he needs to go to, he is going to blast with fire. Or that weird energy beam. To ensure that such and such people don't get overrun or overpowered. So, with that said, he's like, Roger. As he's all suited up and just on a building waiting, he's like, still waiting. What's the signal when you guys rush in? And as he says that, it's just a loud bang on on long distances away. She's like, oh, that's what you mean. So, well, I'll just wait here and see what happens. It plays out like it usually would. The only difference is there are no hostages. With Deku and them just being ready, well, not Deku and them, but with the whole teams and all of them rushing in, trying to deal with each of their respective problems. Mountain Lady dealing with the whole Nomu factory and such, and All for One doing the whole hook. With All for One doing the whole Sheik soap and down, she essentially just busted her way out. With Deku, saying, making my way over to the Nomu factory, Roger. Changes into full degree, just waits there for a minute. Sees her right there as Deku charges up the energy beam, sending a large blast down, looking like she's getting, bring me up, Scotty. Like that sort of thing, as she's just blasted straight into the ground. Oh, what happened? As they're all teleported away, she's like, Master, what happened? As Deku starts flying around, burning. The only thing they're seeing is his white underbelly with him breathing blue flames. Dobby's like, flames like mine, huh? As she blasts upward, catching Deku's like, oh, those flames burn hot. I should watch out for them. That is something I will take note of. Using his energy blast and such, keep the people on their toes. With Deku coming in, using that whole Nemesis star thing, it's like, time to go, Shigaraki, as she quickly blasts them away. Deku's using his life force gathering energies to boost his already now existing energies, and this is starting to wear and tear on his throat and such. As he's shooting out these beams of pure energy, they are completely wiping out, they're melting concrete. It's even a wonder why and how that even All for One has tanked. My nose is clogged. Tanked 2 straight hits from this. Some saying it's just crazy at how strong she is. And Deku saying, you're using energy absorption. It's very clever trick, All for One. It's indeed it is. But I think you'll be too busy to enjoy this. As she turns around and goes toe-to-toe with All Might. It's like, hello, All for One. And then with a bunch of Nomus come rushing out. Deku immediately just blasting his fire beams and such at him. That's when the very lesser abominations come sprinting out, pretty much climbing all over him. He's been in 3rd and 4th degree all the way to the max mode this entire time. So he's getting kinda tired. As he has fought in I'm trying to decide. This has been decently long, so as he's fighting them off, All Might is going toe to toe with All for One, just barely scraping by of her ability to just punch. That's essentially it. And Deku is slowly but surely being overwhelmed with police, reinforcements, and all of them being brought in as backup. Now, I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a nice day, nice night, nice life, and again, tell me what you think of. And remember, after this, I'm completing the gladiator bell what if.